Looks like we're live. All right, I'm just going to check the group real quick to make sure this goes live in there, and then we're going to get rocking and rolling.
Cool.
Yeah, we got so much great activity in this group, dude. It's awesome. So much great activity, and it's so cool to see what we've been able to do in just the last like 3 weeks. That's super exciting. All right, I don't see it in here, but that's okay. I'll find it once you start talking about some cool stuff. All right, welcome, Flip Trader. This is a new segment that I'm putting out there called Group Member Spotlight. We have 41,000-ish members, and I say ish because I do remove members that don't follow the rules. And for everybody else that does follow the rules, it's almost 41,000, and we're growing really nicely. And so our content every week, people are loving, and I'm getting all this great feedback. And I wanted to get to know group members better, and I want the other members of the group to get to know group members better. So I met Andrew a couple weeks ago, right up in Boston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At your launch event, which was an absolute blast.
Yeah, at our Flip Trader launch party. Even though
Yeah.
it was it was like torrential downpours all weekend, we still had probably 60 plus people there, which was awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was fun.
Great.
It was a really fun time. And I thought, you know what, this guy's got a cool story. I've been watching his social media stuff and his content, and it's a family affair here, so my kids are going to come in and out. And I'm really excited to just introduce you to the group and introduce the group to your life, what you're doing in real estate, what you're doing as an investor. I'm not clear if you're an agent or not, which is the reason for this
Okay.
spotlight.
Okay.
For me to learn more about how we might be able to serve you and how you can serve the group and, network with the other people. So this is what we're doing every single Friday now. So you're going to have 5 days of content from the group each week. Now we're going to start focusing on group member spotlight. So if any of you are watching this, whether you're watching live inside the Flip Trader community or you're listening on the podcast, because eventually we will put this out as a podcast episode, write to me, support@fliptrader.com, and just say, Ian, I want to be on the group member spotlight. And we'll probably have some kind of form you fill out just to make sure that you've got a really cool story and that you're able to share. And then we'll get you out there. And one more thing before we get started. I've been teasing it all week. We're going to start teasing it even more next week. The Flip Trader membership programs are starting to come online probably at the end of this month. Probably have like a Black Friday sale. And you're going to want to jump into that because it's even more of what we've been doing, and it's even tighter, smaller groups, more one-on-one training with our group experts, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. So many of you have asked for it, so we built out that curriculum and that program, and we're just massively excited. So let's get started here with you, dude. Andrew Freed, welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So, dude, I want to, we can take this in any direction we want. This is just a conversation among two guys with open mics and, a bunch of people watching live. So no pressure. But I just want to go back and just figure out your story, because part of the reason why we want to do this as well, and I say this with the group experts, is we want to showcase that none of us are any more special than the rest. And that's not like foo-foo, weird hippie stuff. That's real. None of us are more special than the rest. We just figure out a formula to get what we want quicker or more efficiently or whatever. So I want to kind of go back and find out, how did you get into real estate? What areas do you focus on? Are you an agent? Do you focus on that too? And just start there. Like, when did you get into real estate?
So you're absolutely right that none of us are special. Anybody can do this. And I think it's pretty obvious, like the people that make it happen, that are actually like the CEOs of companies, are like the C-level students, right? And there's a reason for that, because they skew towards action and less towards thinking, right? And to be successful in business, I think action is key. And you could think all you want, but if you're not going to take the next steps, then you could think all day. It's going to mean absolutely nothing, right?
Totally.
So just wanted to kind of emphasize that. So how I got into real estate, I think like many people here, I got into real estate through reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, and realizing that, that I was going after the wrong journey, the wrong dream. I was going after the American dream of, getting a good education, getting a master's, going to a good school, getting a 6-figure job, getting a swanky condo in a nice city like Boston. Like, I did it all. And 10 years later, like, what did I have to show for it? My net worth, I equaled about $250,000 at that point. 200K of which was in this piece of real estate I bought 5 years ago, didn't even think about, and been working for a decade. And it took me a decade to save $50,000. And at that point, like, it just scared me that I had 30, 40 more years of this before I could even think of retirement. And at that point, can I even think of retirement? It took me 10 years to get 50K. At that point, I decided to like go all into real estate. I took out a HELOC on a 1-bedroom condo in Boston. This was in COVID, so about 3 years ago. And then from that point, I house hacked 3 families in Worcester. I bought some investment properties. I bought some syndications, all with that syndication money, and kept kind of turning it. And then eventually I got up to around, and 3 years later, I'm at around 95 units. I syndicated 65.
Wow.
I own 30 in Worcester. I JV'd on 20. I own 10 outright. But yeah, that's more or less my journey over 3 years. And there's a lot more into that, but I just kind of want to give a big picture.
Dude, that's awesome. That's really awesome. Because, we were talking to Chandler Sane, who was our first podcast episode a couple weeks ago, wholesaling expert. He started in 2020 as well. And there's a lot of people that kind of went down, gave up, or just kind of shut it down in 2020 or lost things. I love hearing a story about how you triumphed through a downturn like that. That's really cool.
And I mean, to your point, in 2023, I'm on pace to close 100 units, right?
Yeah.
So when everybody's fearful, when everybody's scared, when everybody's questioning the validity of real estate, like, what do I care if the property cash flows at a 7 or an 8, right? As long as it's cash flow and as long as there's a 5, 7, 10-year time horizon, what do I care? I mean, at the end of the day, you and I both know wealth is built, like the most millionaires are built, their wealth is built in real estate. Yeah. Like, maybe if I want to become wealthy in stock, I'll have to commit 50 years, but that just time horizon just doesn't sit well with me.
No. And it's actually not as fun. You're actually not building something. And like you said earlier, most entrepreneurs, most C-suite guys, executives, CEOs of big companies are C students. There's actually a book out there, and I'm going to butcher the name. You might know it. It says, "Why does my A student work for your C student?" I think it's that. And I think it's like Harvard Press that put it out. I heard Robert Kiyosaki talk about it. Do you know that book by chance?
Not off the top of my head.
I'll find it and I'll drop it in the comments here. It's a really cool book that basically it allowed me to understand that I didn't have to be the smartest. I didn't have to have the best grades. I didn't have to have everything in line and my resume perfect and my scholastics perfect and I'm in all these extracurricular activities. Like, I remember in high school, man, I went to an all boys Catholic school, so it was already a nightmare. I mean, it was a great school, it was just a nightmare.
Wow.
And I remember how many guys were so desperate to get into like another group, another extracurricular, to put that on their transcript or put that on their college application. And they were loading themselves with sports and academics and these other things. And I didn't want to do any of that stuff. But in my mind, I literally knew that those guys would work for me one day. And I said that in high school. I remember saying that in college because I didn't want to work that hard in college. I didn't care. I didn't care about grades. I didn't want that. I didn't pride myself on that. Like, dude, I'm giddy every day getting up, building Flip Trader. It makes me happy. I'm like, I get to meet great people like you. And I've met more people in the last 3 months than I think I have in my entire life, just being involved in this. And I want people to understand that book is fantastic because it is, like you said, most of the C and D students that are taking action because they're not programmed by the, I'm not going to say the establishment, but like the traditional route. And Aaron, our CEO, we were talking about this morning, like, you go to high school, you get good grades, you get into a good college, you get a good job, you get married, you have a kid, you get promoted, get promoted, you buy some real estate, you get promoted, you retire and die. And the amount of people that retire and are dead within 2 years is staggering. Do you know that?
Yeah. I mean, it's absolutely incredible that our life is planned out for us before we're even born, and we don't even question the path that we're on, right? So that's why I love financial independence. That's why I love real estate. It's like, it's not even about the real estate. It's not even about the wealth building. It's about the self-discovery, you know, and that's really kind of what I love about about kind of my journey. Is I can determine where my end path is, and I don't have to have somebody else tell me what it is.
Yeah. The people, I love that. It's about self-discovery. It's the people that die after they retire a couple years later. It's because they went so long, let's say they went 65 years, 70 years with this program that their job or raising a family or making money or providing, wealth for future generations was their purpose. And then when you remove that massive piece that you got up and went to and programmed your life around or planned your life around for 30, 40 years is just removed. And all of a sudden you're like riding your bike and you bought a condo at the beach, and you're riding your bike around and you're like, oh, what do I do now? Then your life lacks a massive amount of purpose. And in your brain, it goes, okay, well, I guess we're done. I guess we're done here. And you start, and the level of sickness and disease that creeps into people that don't have a purpose, like they're not building towards something, they don't have goals anymore, is exponential. So the way you put that is fantastic.
I think it's absolutely astonishing how after we get out of high school or college, people don't read anymore. People don't learn anymore. Their learning is done. They've learned everything.
People, yeah.
They're ready to move on. It's like, when do you if you stop going to the gym, would you expect yourself to be in shape? Like, it's the same with education. It's the same with self-learning. You got to constantly do it to kind of keep those reps in. And that's why I think kind of finding your purpose, being an entrepreneur, is it pushes you to do that on a daily basis. You know?
Agreed. There, I'm gonna look for some of the comments here and just run this on my phone. So what were you doing before? What was your corporate?
So before, why I am still doing it to this day, actually.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm a project manager at a biotech company. Okay. So that's kind of how I got started. And yeah, I did that for 10 years working at, Boston University, very prestigious institutions. And I mean, by everybody's account, I made it, right? I got that 6-figure job. I worked at that prestigious institution. I had the master's, but when I went home every day, I didn't feel like I made it. I escaped into vices like video games or movies or women or whatever I could to take my mind off of my ambitions, right? And during COVID, that really opened my eyes, because I started putting right out of things you can procrastinate with. And you got to face yourself in the mirror, and you got to figure out, is this really where I want my life to be, right? And I answered that question, and it wasn't. And I decided to make a change.
Good for you, dude. I mean, do you know how many people, I'm sure there's how many people out there that have those thoughts, and then another decade and another decade goes by, and they're so wrapped up in I call them escape pods. They're so wrapped up in the different escape pods to escape reality that becomes a deeper and deeper habit. And all of a sudden, 20 years later, they wanted to make a change, or they bring in something like, yeah, well, when my kids get out of high school, it'll be different. Or when this happens, it'll be different. Or when I reach this level of income or this level of passive income, it'll be different. And I go, it won't be different. It'll actually be worse. And they go, well, how will it be worse? And I said, because you spent the last 5-10 years digging that hole deeper, that groove that's worn into the rock, let's say. The water will automatically flow back into that rock. So just because you have financial freedom tomorrow instead of today, doesn't mean that any of your internal habits change or behaviors. None of them change. That's why you're talking about people stop reading, they stop learning, they just kind of go through these motions, and that is dangerous as hell, man. It's super dangerous.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever read, I think it was Confronting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. But in there he talks about harmonizing rhythm, where every creature gets in a rhythm, right? And the more you're in that rhythm, the more it sets in and the harder it's to get out of it. Like, for example, imagine like a creature meant for a winter environment, and then you move them to a summer environment, and how quickly they don't thrive anymore, right? And it's the same with, like, to your point, like, the more you put yourself in that rhythm, the harder it is to escape. And the best day to make a change is now.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, right? That's the best day to make a change.
So what was it that made the change for you? I mean, this is a straight up personal development podcast, which I love. All my other podcasts are all personal development, which I love. Because like we talk about on Wednesdays, your business, your life, everything grows to the extent that you do. Mm-hmm. So what was the catalyst? What was that big piece where you came home one day and you're like, fuck, man, I don't want to play video games. I don't want to avoid. I want to live the life that I want to live. how do I do that? What was that time? What was that like that hinge point?
It all comes back to confronting fears and confronting demons that you've had. Like growing up, I was a very angry kid. My dad left when I was 3. I had ADHD. I hated the world, and I very much took that out in the world. And then it took me decades to build up that self-confidence. It took me decades to forgive my father. It took me decades to get over those hidden demons. At that point, once I didn't have those fears, then I didn't really have anything to lose when I went for it, right? I think a lot of people don't realize that doing nothing is a choice, right? The status quo is a choice. Your choice is the same life that you've lived in the past, right? So I realized the status quo is not what I wanted. I realized that I couldn't imagine myself doing this for 30, 40 more years. And I needed to do something, or it wasn't the life I wanted. And to your point,
what were you feeling though? Like when you thought about that, because I think about the future regret that I would feel, or the future pain that I would feel. So you were obviously dialing into that. What were you seeing for your future that you were like, no, I'm not going another step further in this direction?
I think to your point, it comes back to people controlling my time, right? Like I'm like, at the end of the day, like, yeah, I had a nice job. Maybe I had 6-12 months of reserves, but I would still have to go crawling back to that job I would still have to go crawling back to that job for my subsistence. Sure. And that's what really scared me. But what really opened my eyes was when I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I realized that the information that society is feeding us regarding wealth building, regarding what your path is completely wrong. Like 401ks, having your wealth in 401ks and your primary residence, 90% of America has it in that fashion. And that's the completely wrong way to build wealth, right? Like obviously financial institutions want your money to sit there for 30, 40 years and you don't look at it, right? I mean, so it's like, it was almost like realizing that to build a business, to get wealth, you almost have to toss everything aside that you've learned in the past and start anew. And Rich Dad Poor Dad opened my eyes to that sort of mindset.
Let's not take off the table that for most, like the herd, that type of investing works. And it has to work. You have to have the herd, right? You have to have the general public buy into something. Or if you had a bunch of guys like us, and most of the people in this group that are a little bit more defiant and they carve their own path, the world wouldn't work. But there is a danger in that, which means you don't control your own future, especially the financial future. You don't control it. There's a really high view Instagram video of a boss coming in. You might have seen this, and telling all his workers, they're like standing in a warehouse, and he tells all his workers that the company running their pension and 401ks for retirement made some errors, and they lost it all. And this guy was 35 years at this company and lost it all. Gone. Every dream he had about retirement, everything that he wanted to do, and he wanted to cash that thing out. Every single piece of overtime he put in, or vacation he didn't take, or sick day he didn't use, sick day, gone. And in that moment, the guy was pissed, obviously, but it's a really, I think they're in like yellow shirts. It's a really special video because the guy, you can tell the guy's pissed, but he's not angry. He's just like in this realization that he wasted his whole life waiting for this thing in 30 years that actually didn't happen. And with one click of a mouse, somebody ruined his entire financial future that he'd been paying into for 35 years. That is freaking scary. That's real scary. So I think what we're promoting is being in charge of your own financial future. You can still have 401ks and pension plans and that kind of stuff in your W-2, but you also want to be in charge of your life and your financial future on your own and making your own choices to supplement or to like add to it, to where maybe your pension is just like it's a bonus. It's like paying for fuel for your yacht or something, or your RV or whatever you want to do.
Yeah, and to not live a life of regret, to like go for it, right? Like if I died tomorrow, I would die happy because I know I left it all on the table. Like if I was still at that job and I died tomorrow, I guarantee I would have a lot of regrets on what I didn't do with my life, right? So I think that's incredibly important, as well as like not living a life of regret. So you take action on a daily basis. So you don't say, oh, I'm going to do this tomorrow. Oh, I'm going to do this next week. No, do it now. Like,
Yeah. What's been your biggest success? And I also want to ask what's your biggest failure in real estate thus far?
My biggest success, I would say, in real estate is um, being able to build a lot of bridges together that synchronize
Okay.
together and kind of build me up, like almost like compound interest. I'll give you a quick example. So
Yeah.
I started a real estate meetup, been doing that for 2 or 3 years. I've met partners there. I've met lenders there. I go on a bunch of podcasts. People learn to like and trust me, which increases my ability to raise capital and to find deals.
Yeah.
I self-manage 24 of my units, so it teaches me how to be a landlord and best practices. I'm an investor-focused agent. I got agents under me, so it pushes me to have my pulse in the market on a daily basis because I'm forced to look at deals, right?
Yeah.
So I built all of these different bridges, right? And they all feed in together and work to really enhance my investing business, right? So I would say that's kind of what's been very successful, helpful in my business, and really helped me get a lot of my dreams accomplished. What I would say my biggest failure, in real estate, I mean, I would say in real estate, you have to be comfortable with failure because no deal goes as you plan it out.
Yeah.
You just have to be comfortable in yourself and your ability to pivot and make it happen and not give up, because failure occurs when you give up, right? If you never give up, you would never fail.
Sure.
And that's been a big theme of my careers. I've had many larger deals that most people like, oh, that happened, this deal's over. And I'm like, no, we could do this, and this. Or we could try this, or we could call this investor, or we could talk to this bank. Like, there's always an answer. And
Yeah.
once you shut your mind off to the answer, then failure does occur.
Yeah. It's like lack of forward progression. So what about when you first got started? How did you overcome the fear? We were talking about it yesterday with Paul Thompson, and we talked about it on Tuesday on the podcast too. But, how did you know what to do? And how did you calm those fears that, man, I only got this much and it took me all this time to save up this money and I only have this much and I can't really lose it. So I got to play safe or whatever. I mean, how did you know what to do and how did you overcome the fear that you were inevitably feeling?
Because I compared it to the fear of working for 30 or 40 more years in a job, right?
Yeah.
And losing 200K now isn't as scary as wasting 30 or 40 more years. I already worked for 10 years, which seemed like an eternity, and now I got to times that by 4. It just doesn't seem realistic to me. But how did I get over the fear? I surrounded myself around experts in the area, and they taught. And if I did run across an issue or anything of that nature, I would address it with somebody who's done it before and get their insight, right? So I had surrounded myself around with advisors that really guided me during those points of fear.
Yeah, I like that. It's a great answer, man, because the reason why Flip Trader exists today is to make sure that everybody has access to some kind of training and education to bridge that gap between standing still in fear or letting fear be the headwind and the education and training that allows fear to be a tailwind and push you, or it's the bridge across the gap that you're standing at. And whether, some people will stand at a 2-foot gap and say, I know I could jump that if it wasn't as deep. And you go, well, but it's 2 feet. If you can jump it, doesn't matter how deep it is. And they go, yeah, well, it's a lot more risk. Not really. Whether it's an inch or 1,000 feet, it's still a 2-foot jump. And I think with the bigger money pieces, people get really scared of that 2-foot jump or the 5-foot jump. They know they could do it. They're just like, yeah, well, the consequences are much bigger. And so this kind of stuff and the stuff that you're talking about, surrounding yourself with incredible people, educating yourself, having a network of people like mentors that you can go to and ask questions, that is invaluable. And dude, I did the same thing in like 2018. Like when I was a real estate agent, I was tired of trying to join networking groups, which I did not want to do. I just knew that I had to. And it was like every BNI group that I went to, they already had a realtor spot filled. And I said, but what about quality? And they said, what we care about is that the spot's filled. And I said, well, I'm going to start my own networking group where people of great quality who have amazing ethics and great integrity are going to join. So I started a BNI and I brought in some really amazing people. And I mean, met one of my dear friends, Chris Chris Caldwell there. And I just was like, well, how do I do this differently? So I started a residential and I started a commercial, like multifamily meetup, and met some incredible people that I still talk to this day. I mean, one of my buddies, Fritz, he's a client of mine. He's a great friend of mine. He's building an incredible short-term rental management business down in Austin, Texas. He came from that group from like 2018. So just to your point, you never know who you're going to connect with. Like, will you meet 1,000 people and be friends with all of them? No. But you're going to find five great people that you can move with into your future who are going into the similar place that you're going or the similar direction. So I really enjoy that you have that, or we have that similar background.
I'll give you a quick example. Like back 2 years ago, I joined a real estate mastermind. I started my own real estate mastermind with local investors. You know, we wanted to make it happen. We met weekly. We went over our goals. We went over our highs and our lows and things like that. Over the 2 years with this mastermind group alone, I've closed over 100 units, right?
Damn, dude.
So it's incredibly important to, like you said, surround yourself around like-minded people who are taking actions, because it can have extraordinary effects on your life.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's something I'm going to be implementing here in Flip Trader is goal setting and helping people understand. Like yesterday, we talked about it with Paul Thompson, the training. Like people just go after stuff to go after it, where they really don't understand where they're going or when they can actually stop. Like if you just keep buying units, you might have surpassed the goal that you actually needed to hit 5 years ago, but you're just continuing to be in momentum or in action, and you don't know why. And that's where the quality of life starts to go down. Even though the money goes up, the quality of life goes down. It's like billionaires. They seek that big level, and then they hit it and they go, shit, now I have more problems. Now I have more options than I did when I was an early millionaire. I can go anywhere. I can travel any way I want, stay anywhere I want, drive anything I want, eat anywhere I want, buy any clothes. And that weighs on them. And that's why a lot of billionaires commit suicide, or very wealthy people commit suicide, because they don't have another purpose to chase besides success in a business or money. So I think goal setting is absolute crucial. And I'm glad you brought that up, and I'm glad you do that in your groups. We're going to start doing that in here too, probably Friday mornings, setting goals and understanding where you're going.
Well, to your point, in addition to goal setting, vision planning, right? It's like, to your point, like, what do you want your life to look like 5 or 10 years from now? And like, what can you do today, or what can you do in 1 year or 5 years to get you to that goal? I mean, if your goal is to be on a beach somewhere, maybe go to a cafe a couple hours a day, that's all your work, and you just hang on the beach and travel. Like that's where I want my vision to eventually go, right?
Exactly.
And I'm trying to work towards that through daily action.
Yeah. I want to be with my kids on a cruise ship that I live on.
That's awesome.
Right? I just want to live on a cruise ship that takes me to all the ports of call around the world. So I have this beautiful buffet of destinations, and I've got entertainment and cool stuff to do on the boat. And if I want to sit in my room, I can. If I want to go out and enjoy, I can. Like, I want that. And it's becoming a very popular thing now. So and who knows, I might hate it, but I want the ability and the option to have it, to try it, to live on a cruise for a year, and then say, oh, I love it, or this isn't for me, I'm going to do something else. But at least I have the passive income to be able to just say whatever, whenever,
Yeah, I mean, and that sounds way better to me than to work for 34, 40 years and then retire from the company and sit in front of the TV all day, right? Like, that sounds like a way better life to me.
Way better. And, and the other thing is, as I've been studying world cruises, one thing that keeps popping up as a pattern is that more octogenarians, like 60% more octogenarians, people in their 80s, are selling all of their assets and boarding cruise ships, and just and there's cruise ships you can rent the apartment. Like you can rent an apartment there. It's between $4,000 and $25,000 a month, and everything's covered: medical, dental, haircuts, cleaning, food, medicine, you name it. And the reason why they're doing that is because, like you said, they've lived this whole life working for somebody else or going toward this goal that they thought they wanted. They skip vacations, they skip time with the family, and now in their latter years, they're going, oh my God, I got to get out there and see the world, or I'm going to die, and I have made no impact. I have seen, but a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of this planet. I don't know other cultures. And the problem that the cruise ships are having now is that they're having to carry people off in bags, in body bags, because they're just living there. They go, hey, here's $500,000. You're going to carry me off on a stretcher, and they're like,
wow.
Okay. Well, I mean, it sounds good at the time, but I think that's really great that the world is starting to open up. The mindset of most people are starting to open up to say there's way more to life than working and filling a bank account and just having all this stuff. And I used to think I wanted that too. I used to think I wanted all this stuff. And I really realized as I've slimmed my life down, I just want to travel. I want a backpack with my laptop, my phone, my camera, my kids. I want to work from wherever. I want to work from a little cafe in Thailand, or, on the beach in Bali, or at some fish market in China. Like, I want to work from there and build cool companies and see the world. And, my kids, it's funny when they are asked like, oh, you're going to go to college? Like, my daughter will say, oh, well, if I want to, I will. But it's not a thing anymore, especially in our family. It's just not a thing. I support her if she wants to go, and I support her if she doesn't want to go. You know what I mean? But you got to do something, like build a business. She's sitting right here. Like, build a business with dad? No? Yes? Yeah. That's awesome, man. I really appreciate your views on things. So what's your business look like now? I mean, you got almost 100 units, and you got an investor agent team. Have you been to the trainings with Brandon? Have you seen any of those? Okay. So today at 3 p.m., we have an investor agent training with our resident expert, Brandon. Every week he does an investor agent training. So it might be something you want to send your agents to.
Yeah, totally.
Yep.
We'll do.
So what's your business look like?
My business looks like I currently have 95 units that I manage 24 of them. I have property managers for the other ones. I have an agent team as well. We specialize in the Worcester market. I'm a GP in a syndication, about to close on a 32 unit today, actually. So I add nice. 32 units to my portfolio. And then I'm still working the W-2 as a project manager, primarily because makes me loanable. I get the best loans because I have this, W-2. So that's kind of what my business looks like today. And yeah.
Enjoyable, man. I love that. How big's your team?
I have 3 agents on my team. I just started building a team recently. So I'm giving all them my buyer leads, and I'm really just focusing on listings. It's kind of the goal.
And it's all retail.
Where we only work with investors.
Oh, it's all investor. Okay.
It's only investors, primarily multifamily. And it's residential and commercial. I mean, it ranges depending on the unit count, but it's primarily multifamily. That's
cool. And then your goal for the investment side, like your investments, what's the goal? 500,000, 5,000?
I mean, I say this, it's probably going to change over time, but the goal is to syndicate 10,000 units in 10 years, actively own 400 units. I want to travel to 100 countries in 10 years. I want to help 10,000 people reach financial independence, and I want to write a book on thought freedom is my goal. So are my 10-year goals right now.
Nice, dude. How old are you?
34.
Okay. Great goals. Fantastic goals. I love them. Well, we're going to figure out a way to help you do that. We're going to work together and support each other's goals, man, because we're similar as well. I want to do 250 countries. That's where the cruise comes in. They drop you at the port and you just wander around and you get back on.
Are there even 250 countries? That's like every country. That's probably like literally every country, right?
Well, the cruise will take you to the one that I'm looking at. Dude, it's so funny. I have stacks of these books that I order and all these travel magazines. The one that I'm looking at here is 195, I think.
On one cruise?
Yeah.
What's it, like a year-long cruise?
Yeah. It's so cool. It's so freaking cool. I'll send you information on it, but yeah, it's like 195 ports of call, I think, or like 197, and it's almost, it's a lot of them. But you, through the cruise line, you get to, let's say it takes you to South Africa, or let's say it takes you to Dubai, and you want to go into Qatar or another country there. Well, the cruise line will organize that journey for you, so you can see 250 countries. That's what it promises you. If you want to, you can see 250 countries. I don't even know if there's 250 countries in the world, but I think they're probably talking about like every piece of land that you could possibly go to, territories, things like that. It's 250 points that you can go to. Maybe it's not countries, it's 250 points. Because I know I'm going to get somebody who emails me and says, hey, there's only 227 countries in the world. I do not know the answer to that. All I know is this place takes you and drops you into 250 places.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we got to remember, like, it's going to go around Italy. It's going to go around Europe, and just going to be, in Italy, it's going to probably have 4 calls.
Yeah.
Or 5 calls with Sicily and Sardinia. Like, it's a lot of stuff there. So yeah, dude, I'm telling you, that's where it's at. Everything taken care of. You got nothing. You own nothing except for your investments. You don't have a light bill, gas bill, insurance on your cars, no car payment, nothing except you and your backpack.
It's like you're a kid again, right?
Yeah.
You have no worry in the world.
No worries. No, you just gotta make sure your investments in your business cut that check every month to the cruise ship, or they're gonna kick your ass off wherever they pull in. My goal is to pay the year up front, which I think you got to do anyway. But my goal is to pay the year up front for me, my kids, my wife, and just get on. And like, what I like to do is I like to visualize what it's going to be like when I enter the boat, right? And like looking around, like I can see it. I can feel the air conditioning on me because we're going to board the boat in LA. I can feel the air conditioning on me. And I look around and I go, I live here now. This is my house. This is my floating hotel that I live here. And just to have that mindset, and like the people that are on this boat have the same mindset as me, that they want to travel for a year to see the whole world. So like minds are going to be, flourishing together. And I think that's super cool too.
Yeah, that sounds like an absolute dream. I'm going to have to sign up for that for sure. Send me the info.
Okay, just Google 1 year world cruises, and you will see pages and pages. Those companies that are literally buying old, Carnival or old NCL boats and converting them into apartment boats. It's pretty cool. Yeah, wow. I don't want to spend all of our time on that. It's just, this is what drives. And the reason why I'm driving this home with such detail for all of our listeners is this is what's driving our investment strategy and the moves and the actions that we take, because this is what I want. I'm so damn clear on it. I don't need 5,000 units. I need enough to pay my lifestyle. That's it. I need enough to pay my lifestyle and build up a $10 million portfolio, however that comes. And that'll be passed to my kids. And I'll spend my mid 40s and on just enjoying my life, building businesses. And that's it. Yeah.
Sounds like good life.
Good life, man. It is. So dude, as we wrap up here, what's something that we can support you with? What's something that the group can support you with?
I am always looking for opportunities and deals in multifamily around the Worcester area, New Bedford. I just started buying in South Carolina. So if anybody runs across any great deals, definitely feel free to pass them along. And I'm always working with investing partners as well. So if you're interested in getting involved, definitely reach out.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, I love that, man. Well, dude, thanks for giving us your time today and sharing your story. It's been fun, man. It's been really fun.
I enjoyed it a lot. Thanks for having me, and I look forward to contributing to the fantastic community that you created, Flip Trader.
Thanks, man. Andrew Freed, appreciate you, brother.
Thank you.
All right, Flip Trader Group, that is our first group member spotlight. If you had fun, if you want to join Andrew in or not join, if you want to be like Andrew and get into the hot seat, email me at support@fliptrader.com. You can jump on this screen with me, and I will grill you like I grilled Andrew. No, we're just gonna have a nice conversation about your life, It's a great place that you can brag about yourself. You can be totally egoed out if you want, as long as you fit our culture, and share what you've done, and share the effort you've put into your life, and the plan you have, and where you're going, and attract like-minded people that might be able to support you as you support them to get there. So if you want that, hit up support@fliptrader.com, and we'll get you an application to fill out. Also, remember, look out for our new Flip Trader membership program. Got 2 tiers. That's going to be coming up in the next 2 weeks. And stay tuned for Brandon at 3 p.m. Eastern live today. Investor agent training is going to be amazing. We love you. We appreciate you. And we'll catch you on the next one.